Hey, welcome back, guys, to another video. I wanted to talk about some of the current events that are going on right now, and that a lot of people are just being affected by. That people's emotions are being, impacted, whether it's for the good or for the bad. I want to let you guys understand that anything that comes through the annals of media, okay, especially when the same news, I want you guys to understand how the system works, okay? And this is not to insult anyone's intelligence at all. I believe everyone has the right to think the way they want to think, but it's my job, or it's all our jobs as a collective state of individual consciousnces that leads up to the ultimate state of consciousness, which is source, or what we call God. I think it's our responsibility as human beings to use what we know and to enlighten others, to produce more of what we have. That's what Source did. Source, the ultimate creator of the universe and the multiverse and the multiple dimensions and the multiple realities, it produced based upon its essence. Its essence, Source's essence, was able to just produce because it gave what it had. So as little miniature versions of Source, because we're all living things, living sentient beings, we're conscious, we are aware of ourselves. It's important that we don't keep what we have in, that we let it be known to others. You don't have to do it on a YouTube channel. You don't have to do it through the social media. You can do it with the people you know. You can do it with your own children. You can do it with people who are willing to listen, because not everyone is willing to actually listen. I want to give you guys a systematic way to look at the system that's used against the mind of the people. I don't know if you guys understand anything about CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. I don't know if you guys understand anything about CIA operations and how they use operations that wages war against the minds of the people. We call it CIA PSYOP, psychological operation. It's a shortened, when I say PSYOP, it's just the abbreviated version of psychological operation. I want you to understand what that means. Whenever you hear news that's being played on all networks, and it seems to have a repetitive broadcasting frequency, meaning that every major news network is saying the same thing, then it goes from the mainstream, then it matriculates through social media, and then social media picks it up, and everyone starts to put their own spin on a narrative that's put out with the perception of the narrative being true or being factual. This is how you control the minds of the people, because we have been conditioned as human beings to believe that the more we hear something, especially when that same thing that we're hearing is repeated over and over and over again, we tend to believe that, hey, this must be true. But I'm here to tell you that that's the modus of operandi of the CIA operation that's waged upon the minds of the people. You say waged upon the minds of the people. What do you mean? Well, we may not know the motive of why certain messages or certain stories are put out. When mainstream media decides to allow a message or allow a narrative to go widespread to the masses, when I say they, I mean the controllers, they've taken a long look at the impact of what that message will bring. Nothing that's done is done by coincidence. Just like when you have election season, then all of a sudden you start to have mass shootings everywhere. And then politicians start talking about guns and gun rights and taking away people's guns, and people who love their guns start arguing about keeping their guns. It fuels that type of narrative and rhetoric amongst those who are in favor of guns and those who are against the occupation or the possession of military style weapons. Okay? So that's number one. It shapes the talking points of people. That's one out of many, 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 many reasons why certain narratives are put forth. It's to slant talking points. It's to shape the narrative of the masses. It's to keep people focused on one thing. It's to incur distractions. It's to create divisions among people. It's never to bring us together. Okay? So this news that's going on about P. Diddy or Diddy, whatever the hell his name is, I don't even know why an adult will even accept the nickname Puff. That's already suspect to me. I've never liked him. I'm in my 40s, and I remember when I used to hear his songs. He was never a talented musician to me. I just felt like he was a producer in the background who would. I don't even know if he made beats. I mean, what was his? Okay, he's not a rapper. He's not a lyricist. He's not an MC. He doesn't really make beats. He's just a producer. I guess he gets people to make the beats for his rap. So what talent does he have? Now he also has a son. Diddy also has a son who's just as non-talented as him. And I mean, the only thing I know about Diddy is that he's in the background of the song saying, take that. Like just giving extra ad-libs and to songs, or he may end up being a cameo on a person's video. That's as far as his talent goes, and anybody can do that. Anybody can get on the video and say, take that. He's not as smart as people think. And I would ask myself certain questions back then, like, how is this man supposedly rich? There's not that much money in the music industry unless you are fronted that money and you're used as an industry plant to systematically break down the rate to break down a race of people. So an industry plant is used for a purpose. Anybody that can be used to tear down a specific race or a specific community, that's what they use to do that. I don't have to use guns and weapons. I'll just get one of your people to embarrass your people, to give the world the perception that this particular race are the dregs and the scum of society. Like artists like Sexy Red, who has no talent whatsoever, but because they continue to play her music over and over on the radio station, people actually think she has talent now. People actually play her music. You have little kids that are actually dancing to it. You have kids who want to go to her concerts. So when I look at this Diddy situation, and you're hearing all these allegations against him, he's done this, he's done that, sex trafficking, he's beating girls, he's doing this and doing that. I'm not saying that everything that they're saying about Diddy is true or false. That's not the point. The point I'm making is that when you have so much attention as being brought to what he's done or what he's allegedly done, that's the purpose, that's the motive, that's the eye opener, that's the eyebrow raiser that should ignite a bit of skepticism in anybody that's listening to messages like that. If Diddy is guilty of at least 1% of the things he's being, accused of, he would be behind bars. I mean, people are saying he's filed for bankruptcy. People are saying he doesn't have that much money. There are stories out there about how they've taken his cars, taken his homes. I mean, I know for a fact that Diddy is an industry plant. He's being used by the CIA. I don't know why, but there's a grander scheme at play here that we have to actually focus on. It's bigger than just, this is the secrets of Diddy. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. The things that R. Kelly did, that's not a CIA operation. R. Kelly is just sick. He was having sex with little children. He's a pedophile. And he should be locked up. We're not talking about that. That's just a sicko. The things that are coming out about Puff Daddy is not something that some people are shocked about it, because some people never thought that he was like that. That maybe he swung both ways. Maybe he also likes women and men. I don't care about anybody's, sexual preference. no matter how disgusting I think it may be. That's not my business. As long as you don't bring that trash around me, I'm fine. What I'm talking about here is, it seems like he's being the scapegoat of a bigger web of criminals. I feel he's being the face, and he knows this. It's pre-planned. They planned this. This is propaganda. He knows what's going on. He's not shaken by this. He's not in his house afraid of what's going to happen. The script was already given to him. He was told that he was going to be the fall guy. He's going to be well compensated for it as well. You say, why am I saying this? Because I've learned over the years, through the experiences that I've had with listening to mainstream media and now having social media echo the same narratives of the mainstream media, I've learned to understand that when something or a message is being given to people on a wide scale, it's always in our best interest to question it and think and consider alternative or consider alternate routes or alternate paths that the narrative is trying to take. See, if you take the narrative for face value, then you have succumbed to what the CIA matrix or psyop wants you to think of. I don't think that way, and I'm not here saying that I'm right and they're wrong. I'm just here to insert a bit of skepticism in the storylines that are being given to us on a daily. I want us to question everything. And you have to also look at things in context and look at other stories that are similar to the things that they're accusing Diddy of. Remember Epstein? Remember the Epstein Island? Do you think that Epstein just became rich because he's so smart? Even the documentary that they gave about how he became wealthy. He started off as a math teacher, and somehow, some way, he started getting into investment banking, and all of a sudden he got all his money. That's a freaking lie. Excuse my language. I was just about to curse. That's a lie. Epstein is also a plant. He was fronted that money by the CIA. Epstein is not dead. He's still alive. He was fronted that money by the CIA. He was used as a tool by the Israeli Mossad. The Israeli Mossad is the equivalent to the American CIA. So they're like the Israeli CIA agency. That's what the Israeli Mossad is. And they're known for assassinating many people who they feel are threats to the establishment or threats to their cause. So Epstein was a plant. He was used by the CIA to blackmail politicians and blackmail world leaders. Epstein didn't just get rich because he's so smart and got rich. Those documentaries that you guys listen to are not always factual. That's why they call it a documentary. Anybody can create a documentary and slant the information to fit their agenda. You have to ask yourself, how did this man come across that much money to build an island? To have an island all to himself? No, he was given that money. Those resources, we have the Federal Reserves, the bankers, the money printers, they could print money and give it to whoever they want to give it to. That's how you control nations and cripple societies. All you need to do is front load one person with enough wealth and have them control the world, but let them be the face of the controller of the world. And then you can use that person as a tool to blackmail other people, because there are a lot of sick people out there. And that island was an island that was created by the CIA. All right. They used foreign technology, and I say foreign technology, meaning that they used alien technology that was already here before we were here. Technology that helped build things like the pyramids, the megalithic structures. We're talking about alien tech, things that are hidden in the Smithsonian, things that are hidden in the Vatican. Okay, that's why the Iraq War that was predicated on 9/11, which was also a damn lie. It wasn't about going into Iraq to fight the people who attacked us. Americans attacked Americans. The CIA attacked America. The people who were murdered in 9/11 were just simply collateral damage to fuel the sentiments of war, so the Americans could be enraged and we can all be in favor of going to war. So when we had people going to war, it wasn't to go get the people who attacked us. It was to get resources. But a lot of you idiots thought that it was about getting the people back who got us. No, it's about going to Iraq, taking their oil, taking their relics, ancient relics, going into their museums to rate those museums. And they had a lot of things in that region of the world that points the finger of our past. It points the finger to our origins. And they control the information because they have the artifacts and the things that are needed to actually exploit our history, true history, not the history that the European writes, not the history that the public schools want you to learn, but the true history of our origins. So many things that are being told to us on a wide scale is not always true. So Epstein was a tool used by the CIA to blackmail politicians. You say blackmail them. What do you mean blackmail them? Well, you have a remote island where people are going there to commit all sorts of grotesque acts against minors, okay? And rather than building it, you got to have somebody to run it. Epstein was just a guy. He's the industry plant. He's the face of what the CIA was using to blackmail people. The CIA won't come out and say we blackmail politicians, but we need a face to represent us because we can't be seen as the bad guys. So let's take everything that I just said and look at Puff Daddy's situation or Diddy's situation. Everybody's talking about, oh, Diddy this, Diddy that. It came to raid his home. You see the sensationalization of that type of narrative. Oh my God, they're trying to get in. You think Puff Daddy doesn't know about this? It's a plan, it's a script. Let me let you guys know something of how inverted we are as a society, or how ass backers we are. We believe that the news coverage is factual because we were bred that way. We were taught to listen to the news, to listen what the people in the suits who are sitting behind a prompter and they're reading the news to you, right? We're taught to believe that whatever they're telling us is the truth. I'm here to tell you that the things that you're hearing on the news are scripted. They're not always true. They have a little bit of truth in there, but it's not the full truth. Hence the manipulation of a lot of people. And here we are talking about things that aren't truly factual. Diddy already knows what's happening. Nothing's going to happen to him. And if he ever does go to a prison, whatever prison he goes to, he's going to still have a status or a state of living that's still far better than 99.9% of the people in the world. In other words, wherever he goes, he's going to be just fine. He's not going he's not going to be going to a normal prison. He's going to be going to a prison of luxury. Okay, they have those prisons that exist. Don't for one second think that they don't. Okay? Sometimes somebody has to be the fall guy. When you make the deal with the devil, sometimes the devil comes back to collect. And I'm not talking about the spiritual devil that you Christians think about. I'm talking about in real life. The people who control, those are the devils. The people who have nefarious agendas, they'll give you everything that you want. And when certain things are getting close to being exposed and the truth is almost about to get out, what they do, they create distractions via using the CIA psychological operation, as they're doing with Diddy. People get distracted and everyone just starts to focus on one person. Just like everyone was focused on Epstein, now everyone's focused on Diddy. Now everyone's focused on what the FBI is trying to do to Diddy's house. The same thing with politicians. Same thing with Trump. You think that Trump doesn't know all these things that are happening? The January 6th stuff that happened with Trump, you think that wasn't planned? He's part of the script. It's an act. It's a play. They say, we're going to do this, and the Americans are going to react like this. It's a game to them. It's a game to them. They control people by controlling narratives. Because if you can control the narrative, you can control talking points. And if you can control talking points, people end up being controlled by what they see on television. They react, they respond, and their day-to-day movements subliminally and incrementally, subtly, their day-to-day movement starts to be impacted, and they end up having to manipulate their thinking and their decision making based upon a lie, based upon this person is president and this person is going to be president and this like, really. Many of you guys today still think that Joe Biden is the president of the United States. Well, many of you guys think that he's still alive. Many of you guys think that Hillary Clinton is still alive. Many of you guys think that the guy that you see on television when the alleged Joe Biden is talking, you guys really think that's Joe Biden, don't y'all? It's okay. I understand. I get it. Like, you know, we just have to believe what we see, right? We have to believe what they give us. You know they have masks, right, that they can create that looks like a person's face. And even if Biden was the president, he was already in early stages of dementia, Alzheimer's. His brain was already deteriorating. What sense is he making? Do you think that he's really running the country? Or is he just a face? I want you to answer that question. Do you think any president that, not just Biden, I'm not just picking on him, any president, do you think presidents actually run the country? Yes or no? Okay, then if you say no, then you know you're going to say no. Well, they have the executive branch, they have the judicial branch, they have the legislative branch, and they all work together. The executive branch, all three branches together, and the checks and balances. That's what we were taught in school, right? Yeah. That's the front. America is an empire. It's ran by bankers. It's ran by banks. Everything you guys watch on television is a show. It's a circus. It's an act. You might as well call news Netflix. It's the same thing. You guys are caught up in a story. You guys are part of the story, because the main goal is to impact the minds of the masses who are being influenced by this information that they're receiving through these major news networks. So everything that's happening with Diddy, to me, I'm not saying it's real or fake. That's not the point here. The point I'm saying is that the magnitude, the type of attention that the narrative is receiving is planned. It's been planned for like that's created. I'm not saying that everything that they're saying is not true, but he's being a fall guy for something, and I don't believe everything that I'm hearing. I can't believe everything that I'm hearing. I can't. We've been lied to too many times for me to just go off of what mainstream media is saying. I'm not saying that Diddy is a nice guy, and then the allegations of him murdering women and murdering people. Okay, and people are saying that maybe he did, but for a guy to be that reckless and feel as if he can do whatever he wants and get away with it, he has to be backed by something. Just look at, go to the other YouTube channels and hear all the stuff they're saying about Diddy, about his past, even his involvement, his alleged involvement in Tupac's death, even his alleged involvement in the death of Biggie. People are saying that he has something to do with Biggie's death. I mean, it goes on and on. This guy has a long rap sheet of all this stuff, and yet he's a free man. And I had somebody on my comment page, he says, well, you know, businessmen and rich people, they have different rules. They can be guilty of a crime and still walk free. Well, that's true. That's actually validating my point. That if you're walking free, why are you walking free? It's because you're being used as a plant to either blackmail other artists, or because you can't say they're blackmailing Puff or Diddy, because I mean, the media is exposing things or exposing allegations that are being thrown towards him. So we can't say that he's being blackmailed, because blackmail is when you have secrets about a person and you tell them, hey, if you don't do this, we're going to do this. But then again, maybe he can be blackmailed, because coming out with these allegations is probably putting his foot to the fire, saying, hey, if you don't do what we want you to do, we'll throw you in prison for life for all these allegations. So there you have Diddy becoming this hip-hop mogul kind of guy, being a slave to the system. Frederick Douglass was the same way. He was a plant as well. The story of Frederick Douglass, liberating himself and making, teaching himself how to read and all that stuff. All those were lies. He was a front. He was given that money. Obama was a lie. He's a front. He's an industry plant. Where is he at now? What is he doing? They hide. These presidents, after they're done, they just go into hiding because they are ashamed. If any of them has a conscience, they're ashamed of what they've done because they understand that they are part of the problem in this world because they've accepted they've shaken the hand of the devil. Many of you guys were emotionally moved. Oh, we got a black president. Anything that's put out there to impact the masses should be questioned. You think Trump is like some savior? No, it's a political game. It's a political game. It's a circus. It doesn't do you anything. It doesn't serve your soul anything. There's nothing that's going to enrich your life from giving any attention to politics. It's a joke. I'd rather you talk about SpongeBob. I'd rather you talk about Bluey or Coco Melon. I'd rather you talk about things that little kids watch. We're distracted. Our minds are so deeply embedded into what they want our minds to be deeply embedded in. And it's unfortunate because many people think that the problems we have today is based upon politics and where the money is being moved. That's what they want you to think. The controllers don't give a damn about any of that. They control the politicians. And as long as they could keep the masses distracted into focusing on what they want you to focus on, you're never going to focus on the real enemy. The real enemy, guys, is not terrain. It's not terrestrial. I've said this on many videos. And people looking at me like I'm crazy, that I'm cuckoo, but it's okay. The enemy of humanity is not human. The enemy of humanity is not what you think it is. It's not flesh and blood like humans like us. We are a seed planet. Our enemy is extraterrestrial from another star system. And we are being controlled. So the Puff Daddy stuff that's going on, don't believe everything you're hearing. And if you are believing everything you're hearing about him, just do know that there's another cause, there's another motive to why this is coming out. It's not just because we found out he's doing bad things. Do you know how many sex traffickers are out there? Most of them are European. But yet they want to make him the face of that, saying that he's involved in that stuff. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But you're trying to tell me he's the only one? They can crack down on a lot of these sex traffickers, but a lot of these leaders are part of the process. A lot of these leaders are in cahoots with the major sex trafficking lords and the drug lords. When they talk about we're gonna crack down on drugs, the CIA plants the drugs in these communities. The CIA gives these civilizations guns so they could kill themselves. America is Rome, guys. I'm trying to tell you guys, they're not the good guy. They have over 180,000, or is it 80,000 or 180,000? It's one of those. A lot of their military bases are spread all over the world. They control the world. People keep talking about a one world government. We are already part of a one world government. Now, we may have other countries that are not given in totally to the America's control, but in general, we have a one world government. It's already here. COVID should have taught you guys that. For a pandemic to be planned that way on a global scale should let you know that we are already in a one world government. Because the protocols that were here in America were the same protocols that were everywhere else. Now, you may have maybe 1 or 2% of the world were not following those protocols. Europe, America for sure. That connection It's always intact. Always. But yeah, just want you guys to think on a deeper level, folks. It's not all what it seems. Um, People talk about that list of the people who flew to that island of Epstein's island. No one talks about the list. Everyone on that list should be in prison. What were you going to the island for? All those people are blackmailed. If you don't do this, we'll let the list out and tell people what you've done. Imagine how miserable those people's lives are. Everyone who took Jay-Z's part of it too. Beyonce, she was on that list. Yeah. He was a plant, folks. Epstein was a plant. I think Diddy's a plant. Probably not on that grand of a scale as Epstein, but he's definitely a plant. He's definitely a plant. I mean, how does this guy have all that money? Now they're saying that the FBI came to his house to raid it and he flew away on a jet. Like, seriously? I mean, if he flew away on a jet, you don't think Americans could seize, like, you don't think they can stop him? Get out of here, guys. How does he have enough money to get a jet? Ask yourself that. What does Diddy do? Who is he producing? What is he doing? What artist? I mean, music is not the way it used to be back then. Now it's all about streaming. And you have to ask, people aren't buying your music. You have to go out there and perform and go to concerts to get paid. You have to find other ways to make money. It's not just, I have an album and I sold this many, that's why I'm getting paid. It doesn't work that way anymore. What artist of Bad Boy is just tearing up the scenes right now? Nobody. So how does this man have all this money? From Biggie? That's years ago. From Black Rob? Black Rob is transitioned. He's no longer here. Loon? Who? The Locks? I mean, no. The guy's a plant. It's a homosexual plant. He has a lot of secrets, and they use people like that. People who have things to hide, and they can control you because they know that you have a lot of things that you don't want to be unveiled. So that's my spiel, man. I don't believe everything that they're saying about Diddy. I don't even give it enough attention. But the reason why I'm talking about it, because yesterday my wife was talking to me about it. She was like, "Oh, did you hear about this?" I'm like, "Hear about what?" And she showed it to me on my phone. I looked, I'm like, in my head, I was like, man, this stuff's not, there's something fishy about this. I mean, you can't escape it. I see things about Diddy on my feeds. I don't listen to all of them. I don't even listen to any of them. Sometimes I may listen to a little bit and just take it off, because it's always good to be somewhat current on the events that are going on. You don't want to be totally oblivious to what's being said. It doesn't do you any good as a person of some sort of intelligent quotient to ignore the surrounding rhetoric that's around you. Doesn't mean you have to delve in or go in 100% into the information, but it's good to kind of know what's going on around you so you can speak to it. And I don't know the details with Diddy. I care less about him. Puff, I don't follow anybody with the name of a Puff. Like, how can you be a man and you allow people to call you Puff? That's a problem in and of itself. But anyway, I don't believe everything. I don't have all the answers, but I'm not gonna. Something's not making sense. That's all I'm saying. And when something doesn't make sense to you guys, it's up to you to dig deeper. That's how you build the muscles of your mental cognition. That's how you develop that brain. That's how you develop the ability to think critically. To sit there and say, "Oh, he's doing that. They're gonna arrest him. He flew away. That's what's gonna happen. P Diddy trafficking." No, you're being deceived, and they're turning your brain into their brain. But their brain is made to deceive you, so you're self-deceived because you don't know any better, because you choose not to know any better. But you also know that sometimes some of these things don't make sense. And when something is not logically sewn together within the fabric of our reality, if it doesn't stay connected in a way where you can piece it together, especially when you can take past events and contextualize what's going on currently, then you can start to kind of weed out the nonsense. And when there's too much nonsense there, then it's up to you not to accept what you're being told. So yeah, I told my wife, I'm like, I don't believe that. She's like, but they said, I said, I know what they're saying, but I don't believe this story about they're trying to get him and he flew away on a jet. To me, that's It's too much. It's too Hollywood. It's an act. It's an act. No, the truth is hardly ever revealed. The news doesn't really cover truth. Like when they tell you that it's natural disasters that's causing things, they don't tell you the truth that they're using direct energy weapons to cause these natural disasters. They're not going to tell you that. When we have these extreme weather shifts, they're not going to tell you the truth that it's due to stratosphere aerosol injections, solar radiation management. They're not going to tell you that they're spraying aerosols from jet engines in the sky. They're not going to tell you the truth about those. They're not going to tell you about how those chemicals being put upon us is causing Alzheimer's and causing all sorts of respiratory issues. They're not going to tell you the truth about that. When has the news ever told the truth? What they'll do is give credence to people who have opposing views to the status quo, but they give it just enough, and they'll give somebody a platform to be the speaking head or the talking head to those points. So you may have a person out there that's allowed to speak, like a Alex Jones. He's a person that I consider to be a paid opposition. He's a shill, because there's no way that they're going to allow you to go against the system and live if you are perceived to be an actual authentic threat. If you are an authentic threat, they're going to eliminate you. They will kill you. Or if not kill you or assassinate you, they'll find something to put you in prison for to shut you the hell up. You cannot go against the system and live in this country. Not unless you are allowed. And if you are allowed, you are what they call paid opposition or a shield. You're being allowed. You're given that platform to give off the misnomer that there are people out there that oppose the system, therefore making you believe that even though you have people who oppose the system, there's nothing that could be done. I want you to understand what I'm saying. As a consumer, as an audience member, you have paid opposition that's allowed to go against the system, allowed to go against the system, permitted to go against the system, to build a certain base to go against the matrix system. But the CIA operation understands how the psychological construct of the human mind operates. So what they do is, as an audience, you're seeing this, you're like, yeah, we're going to go against the system. We're going to drain the swamp. We're going to do this and do that. Yet nothing happens. And things continue to take an upward trajectory in favor of the controllers' agendas and motives. So it kind of gives you a sense of hopelessness, because you feel like even though there are people out there that are going against this, nothing is being done. That's what they want you to believe, because the people that are going against it are still part of the controller's system, because they're using them as puppets. They pay you enough money to continue to be a paid opposition, to be a shield. And the minute they perceive you to be a real threat, they'll take everything from you. Didn't they threaten to take everything from Alex Jones? They threatened to take everything. They didn't take anything from him. He's still rich, still has a big house, he's still doing well. There's no way in hell, man. There's no way in hell that you can go against the system and live. Ask Martin Luther King and Malcolm X how that went with them. When Martin Luther King started to wake up and wanted to pull away from his control, he's done. Malcolm X was going to become too powerful. You got to gut him down. John F. Kennedy was speaking about the secrets of the government, keeping secrets about their space programs and extraterrestrials. You got to get him out of there, because that threatens the controllers. The controllers are produced from an extraterrestrial lineage. The 13 families they have an extraterrestrial bloodline that's connected with them. When people talk about shifters, the royal family, you may think they're crazy, but they're not crazy. Okay? So just don't believe everything that you're hearing on the news. The news is a weapon of mass deception. Okay? It's a weapon of mass deception. And it's left up to you as an individual to navigate that terrain very, very carefully and be very, very circumspect about the information that you're receiving. Furthermore, also, do not find yourself being impacted emotionally by these messages that you're hearing. Just do know that lies is what pushes the system, and know that most of the information that you're receiving are not true. And if you don't believe me, let's start by going into your grocery store and go eat everything that the FDA approves of. and see how your health will be in the long haul. And I'll end there.